a felony of the third degree with a forfeiture specification. This information offer was made on October 30th of 2025. It was accepted on November 11th of 2025. The initial bind over charges, had it not been an information, what would have been presented to the grand jury in this case were failure to comply, a felony of third degree, having weapons under disability, a felony of the third degree, tampering with evidence, felony of the third degree, improper handling, a felony of the fourth degree, obstructing official business, felony of the fifth degree, and then an additional misdemeanor charges as well. Though it is not before Your Honor at this time, there is a second case that was bound over, 25 CR 1474. That case, if this information goes through, would be consolidated into the 1473 case. If not, that case can be presented to the grand jury also for a failure to comply, a felony of the fourth degree.
A separate failure to comply?
Correct, Your Honor.
Okay.
They would not merge. So it was the state's understanding that the plan was to go forward on the information that was filed today. If that is something that the defendant no longer wishes to do, the state can vacate it and present both cases to the grand jury with the bind over charges.
Okay, so of all the, so you were the offer and the filing, that the second case, 1474, would not be pursued?
Correct.
Okay.
If the information is entered into, that would later be consolidated in and would not be a separate case.
All right, Mr. Fatica.
Good morning, Your Honor. I discussed this offer at length with Mr. Musa. He does not want to accept the offer.
No, it's not true. If I could speak to the if I could address Your Honor.
No, I'm listening to him. Okay?
Absolutely.
Hold on.
Gotcha.
Go ahead.
He's indicated that he would like new counsel, that he wants a continuance of today's hearing.
Okay.
Thank you.
What do you want to say?
Yes, Your Honor. When you stand up. Yeah, I apologize for any confusion or anything that's going on. It's just that it's just certain things that I feel like I'm not getting proper counsel on. Like, I have questions right now for Fatika, and it seems like I'm not getting the questions answered that I want to get answered. I can address like what I don't understand right now too. Is,
Go ahead.
All right, the failure to apply with an order or signal of a police officer that states that I would have to flee and elude directly after committing a felony, and to my knowledge, there was no felony committed prior to my fleeing and eluding.
Well, it says that you operated a motor vehicle so as to willfully elude or flee a police officer after receiving a visible or audible signal from a police officer to bring the vehicle to a stop, and that action causes substantial risk of serious physical harm to persons or property. That's what the allegation is, not that you left after committing a felony.
Okay. So under that means that has to be ran consecutive due to the fact that I possibly caused harm to civilians or to the officers that were in pursuit. That's the reason why it has to be ran consecutive. Because
the charge itself, if you are sentenced to prison on another charge, it has to be consecutive by statute.
My statutes are mandatorily consecutive.
Well, it is. If I sentenced you, for instance, to prison on the second count, the weapons under disability,
yes, sir,
then those two counts would have to be consecutive, because that's what the failure to comply statute mandates.
I understand. I felt like okay, I got you, Your Honor. I just felt like I wasn't.
Just so we have a clear record, Your Honor, I advised Mr. Musa that in detail yesterday and provided him a copy of the statute.
Yeah, I have the statute right here. But that question wasn't answered, though. You know what I'm saying? I'm trying to. What I wasn't understanding, I thought that what grants the court to be able to run it consecutive is me committing a crime prior to the fleeing and eluding. You know what I'm saying? That's all that I was really confused about. Like I'm saying, why did it have to be ran consecutive if it's just fleeing in a lieu?
It's got nothing to do with fleeing after committing a felony.
Okay, it has to do with the putting people in jeopardy.
That charge requires a consecutive sentence if you are sentenced on another case, on another count, to prison. That's
Right.
it.
Right.
Okay. What other question do you have?
Just on the second count on the weapons, on the disability, that's mandatory prison term, right?
No.
All right, Your Honor. Like I said, I apologize for any inconvenience. It's just, this is my life. You know what I'm saying? I have a 4-year-old daughter that I'm trying to get back to as soon as possible, and I know I'm wrong for, committing the crime, of course. And I would like to apologize too, like no officers.
Well, I wouldn't talk about that right now because I don't know what's going to happen with this. You may go to trial, and you shouldn't be talking about things like that if you still may go to trial. The question for today is there are 2 cases that were bound over, one with the case number 25-1473, which includes these 2 charges plus several other charges, including felonies, and 25-1474, which apparently includes another failure to comply. And what the state has offered and what you apparently had accepted and now are questioning is that if you plead to these 2 charges in 1473, then the remainder of the charges in that case won't be pursued, nor will 1474.
Gotcha.
So that's the decision you have to make right now, is whether you want to go ahead with this or whether you want to not go ahead with this, in which case you'll be indicted for, apparently it'll be presented to the grand jury on 1473 and then separately 1474. So,
what are the difference in those two charges?
well, all I know from what Ms. Cutt said is the 1474 includes another failure to comply.
2 failure
separate
to comply. So those all would be ran consecutively, right?
Well, you
Because
could get, I'm not going to get into what, because I don't have the slightest idea. I've never met you before. I don't know anything about you other than what we've talked about in the last 10 minutes.
Right, Your Honor.
So if you're asking me what you're going to be sentenced to, I don't have the slightest idea.
No, all I'm asking is all those counts will have to be consecutive.
They may all end up being consecutive because of failure to comply.
Because, that's no
If you are sentenced to prison on some other charge.
Understood.
Okay? I don't have the slightest idea whether that would or would not happen.
Understood, Your Honor. I appreciate you for clarifying that for me. I would just like to ask you, Your Honor, I'm saying, if possible, can I just request maybe a little bit more time on this case? Maybe can we come back Friday so I could just go over just a little bit more before I make
Are you going to go over it with him? Because he knows exactly what is going on. He knows exactly what he's doing, and you may not like him.
No, I actually do like.
Okay.
He seems like a great guy. You know what I'm saying?
He's a good lawyer, and he knows exactly what's what, and I have no doubt that he'll act in your best interest. No doubt, because I've known him for at least 25 years.
Well, that's a long time, Your Honor. Understood, and I agree with that too. He seems like a great guy too, and a great attorney. But it's just, you know what I'm saying? It's just my life. It's just, you know what I'm saying? I just want to do what's best for my family and everything. You know what I'm saying? Like I said, I have a little baby girl at home. But after your clarification, Your Honor, I will go through with the plea. I appreciate that. And I apologize too for any.
You want to go that? You want to do that today?
Yeah, I mean, I would really appreciate it if you would just if you could give me maybe until Friday, just so I could just talk to my family a little bit.
All right. Why don't I go with Mr. Fatika and Ms. Cutts? Let's go see if we can find another date to give them a little bit more time, and then go from there. You're just going to sit tight in here, okay?